Welcome back, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between. Welcome back to another edition, a live edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I know you're excited for this particular episode because we're coming into a quite popular album. Maybe not popular in the way that you would define popular, but popular nonetheless as far as the show goes. But we'll get into that. I am your co-host, Mark Kamier. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, is it safe to say that this is the most highly anticipated live show you have been ready to do since we started this podcast?
Oh, you know it. I actually wanted to revisit Van Halen 3 for quite a while. I remember a lot of my rankings when we were doing the show. Obviously, Mark and I only upvoted 2 tracks each, the same 2 tracks. But I was thinking on a lot of them, like, man, there's good stuff here. There's good ideas here. It's just not executed overly well. So when I re-listened to it, I tried to kind of, put that kind of spin on it. And I found myself actually enjoying Van Halen 3 a little bit more than I did the first time around. But that wasn't a similar sentiment for a lot of people as they were submitting their rankings. Painful was a word that came up a lot. I must really like you guys was a comment from one. Normally we get, like 26, 27 rankings submitted from our patrons and special guests. We got 18 on this one. But for the longest time, we were stuck at 10. And I'm like, it may just be 10 rankings on this one. But later, this morning, we ended up getting about 4 or 5 rankings in from people. So we got a pretty good sample size to come up with our rankings here tonight. I'm looking forward to letting you all know what came out on top.
Well, we certainly can't talk about Van Halen 3 without, at least to my eyes, the 2 biggest champions of this particular album. And I, them. They've joined us for, I think, almost, if not all, of our live ranking shows. They are extremely knowledgeable about Van Halen and their entire catalog, and they are way nicer about Van Halen 3 than I am. So please welcome back to the show, Chaz Mataz and Scott Monroe. And not ironically, but just fun fact, you guys are here to represent Regarding Van Halen 3. Welcome to the show again, you guys. Always fun to have you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Great to be here.
Thanks, guys. Very, very happy to be here to talk about your favorite record.
Our favorite record. Well, as I said,
yours and mine.
And Chaz's too, apparently, yeah.
Oh,
everybody's favorite record.
Favorite record to talk about, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. But speaking of that record, Scott, man, I would love to hear your thoughts as to why the aforementioned Regarding Van Halen 3. Why did it have to happen? Please tell us, give us your best pitch for why this show exists and why it needed to exist.
That is the central question, isn't it? How many say why? Why? That's what we're going to try to get at. I don't know if we'll come to an answer or not, but we're going to try. Well, I got to say off the bat, I mean, it's totally appropriate that the live show tonight is essentially serving as our first episode of Regarding Van Halen 3.
Yeah, we want to thank you guys very much for this platform and opportunity to launch us off into this exploration of how many say why. It'd be interesting to see how many follow along on the journey.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And, it's totally appropriate because I think we are, in fact, the bastard sons of U2 maniacs.
This is true. This is true. This is your fault.
It's a true thing.
We hold you accountable.
Yeah.
This is what we spawned. I see.
You did. I mean, you guys reignited my passion for Van Halen and Van Halen 3 in particular. I've talked about how that was kind of my album growing up, and it was the first concert I went to, the first Van Halen concert I went to with Gary. And of course, you inspired Chaz and his whole podcasting cartel that's developed. So you could argue Van Halen 3, it's the bastard album of the catalog. So it's kind of poetry that we're doing this as an outgrowth of this show.
I accept that poetry. Yeah, I like that. You know what? That's a beautiful way to describe such a rather unpleasant thing, but happy to do it.
But then perhaps misguided effort on our part, but we'll do it anyway.
In the same breath, he said we were also a growth. So I don't know how poetic that is.
Cut that out
It's
surgically.
yeah.
Yes.
There's no turning back now. But Chaz and I, we were talking the other night, and I think you can actually trace the genesis of Regarding Van Halen 3 way back to your episode last year,
Yes.
episode 71. Chaz was a guest, and you guys spun once. And if you remember, you had to talk Chaz out of slitting his wrists during the song analysis.
Yeah. I
Uh,
brought along the implement that was
yeah,
here at the time. It
yeah.
is here again tonight, but I've come
As
to
dark
peace.
as dark as that was, there was a lot of joking about the lyrics, and I think someone said if you weren't laughing, you'd be crying, and that's very true. I think very true. But I really think for me, the motivation for this came last fall. I realized Van Halen 3, wouldn't that make a juicy topic for the next season of Chaz's Regarding series? The number 3, it just kind of kept popping up. We had season 3 of Regarding, 3 hosts, the 3rd lead singer of the band, and of course, as we all know, it was Van Halen's 3rd studio album that followed up Van Halen 2. Just kidding about that one.
Right. So you add it up, and Sammy Hagar would buy in too with his theory of nines,
Exactly.
right? So there you go.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
A. It had to happen.
It's very good to follow certain synchronicities when they appear in certain ways. So I guess you had to follow it. It had to go down a specific path, and you're on it, boys. So
down the rabbit hole we go.
Well, and this path, I mean, it's been a really weird, kind of a Frankenstein thing, and perfect timing also, I think. For one thing, everyone here knows, I don't need to tell you, Mike Post, the producer of Van Halen 3, he's come out with some bombshell interviews in the last couple of months that have really shed a lot of light on the recording process and what went on there. So I think there's been a lot more to unpack there. Does it forgive the final product? I don't know. That's something we can debate and talk about, and I'm sure we will tonight. And so that happened, and I figured going into this we would follow the established formula. We would break down an album track and sequence. Sounds familiar. We'd have some banter along the way. But I think there are kind of 2 major things to keep an eye on here that have really changed the 3rd season here of Regarding. One is we're going to have some special guests. That's common enough for your show and for others. But the Regarding series really has not to this point had a lot of outside voices. It's been Chaz and Wolfie, with the exception of the rap show they did there. So we're going to start off with a bang. Corey and Mark, you're coming back again. We're dragging you back.
Dragging you back in.
Just when we think we're out.
Yeah. Just when you thought you were out. Yeah. You're back in. So we're
in. Yeah.
Exactly. So you'll be back for Without You. We'll dive deep into that song analysis on that episode, and we'll have others. We're going to have certified Van Halen expert CJ Chilvers. He's the author of the Van Halen Encyclopedia. He's going to help us break down One I Want. Nice. And CJ, he really has a huge interest in that era. He was closest, he says, to the band's inner circle during that time period. So he got a lot of whispers, and I can't wait to pick his brain about that.
No kidding.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll have him and others, and we'll have just super fans like me too. Some others who just really either enjoy Gary or the album. But the other thing that's really different, and maybe Chaz, I think this was somewhat inspired by our friend Roger Waters from Regarding season 2, is we're going to have our very own homegrown redux to consider alongside the original studio album.
With your friend and ours, Mr. Kevin from Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, yeah, that's it.
Getting out there.
The background there is Kevin and I were just chatting about edits that I thought could maybe tighten the songs a little, improve the experience. And of course, Corey, I like the edits that Kevin does on the Ultimate Catalog Clash. I dug what he did with some songs on Metallica and Foo Fighters and stuff. So I asked him, could you do 1 or 2 songs just to kind of give an example of what a producer could have done with these things? And he ended up working with me, and we redid the whole album. So
the whole album,
the whole damn album.
Let that sink in.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And
anyone who knows anything about Kevin Brown knows that you're doing the whole album. If he starts something, he's doing the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
all in.
Yeah. And I'm not a musician, but I know when a melody or verse works for me, and what's
when a song should end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when the natural endpoint is, stuff like that.
Right.
So it was really cool to just kind of throw that at Kevin and see it become a reality. So we're gonna have that to check out as well. So we've called this a reimagining of Van Halen 3, and we've titled it New World, like the album track, because as I say, this certainly fucking was a new world at this point, so might as well call the album that. So we have tighter edits on the songs. We've done what we think is a much stronger track sequencing. The original album, it's 12 tracks, and it clocks in at over 65 minutes. We've reimagined this as 10 tracks, and it's just under 41 minutes. So it's tight.
You've already improved it, I can tell you.
So Kevin made a YouTube playlist of this reimagined album, and we're going to go ahead and post that for everyone to check out probably in the next month or so as we start gearing up here with our episodes, and be interested to see what people think of that, and if it improves their opinion at all, perhaps, of this era.
Well, if anyone can do it, it's certainly the convincing voices of you guys. If nothing else, just to be like, all right, Chaz, we get it. Leave me alone. It's just like, boom, that's a win. I win.
When Scott hit me with the idea, man, I was like, listen, this is very much like season 1 of the Regarding series where we attacked Lulu, right? Because we did some homework on that one, right? We read the source material that was inspired Lou Reed, and it was this fucked up play from way back when about all kinds of shit. The Lulu plays were something else, written by this Wiedekind guy. And, so listening to that, we did a lot of homework, a lot of research. This season 2 with Regarding Roger, that was just like, what the fuck? That was really just, that was too good to pass up and listen through it and just go, what? Why, Roger? Why? And I don't know that we ever really resolved that, but we're really excited. When Scott came to me with this, I was like, yes, absolutely. Again, kind of inspired by when we were on and talking about Once, I was just like, yeah, this album really begs it because, there's so much to unpack where Ed was, where he was in his life, and then the music. And that's really kind of what I got down to. And that's what we'll talk about tonight, is where I am resigned with this album, is really evaluating it based on the music. And, so I'm looking forward to it because there is a lot of merit here. And I really can't wait to hear what Brown has done with the Redux, so, well, I'm all about Redux. So I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, this is just coming together so well. So, this was made to be. Can't wait. And so glad you guys are going to be continuing on with us as a part of it. Yeah. Awesome.
We can't escape it, Corey.
Hey, they gave us the best song on Van Halen 3, so I'm not complaining at all. But before
it's a matter of opinion.
Oh, we'll get into it. But before we dive in,
is there a best song on Van Halen 3? That's a regarding kind of question.
I tell you what,
is there a best song on this album?
According to our rankings,
I want to figure that out.
According to the rankings, they're absolutely.
We have to answer that before it's over.
The number one song won by over 40 points. So according to our people doing the rankings, there absolutely is a best song on Van Halen 3.
40 points.
Yeah. Before we get into it, though,
that's not surprising. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to chat a little bit about the cover art. I'll just bring it up here real quick.
Yeah.
Because it already kind of sets things off. Like I don't mind the cannonball imagery, but what is with the Van Halen 3 on the cannon? Like, this is a band that had two of the coolest logos in rock. When you had the old, DLR era VH inside the inverted triangle, looked so cool. And then when you had the Sammy era and they mixed it up and they had the wraparound kind of wings around it, it was fucking phenomenal. And then here we just got like the lamest font ever and just Van Halen 3 kind of stamped on a cannon. I don't know.
Kind of seems like an afterthought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the early aughts, so things were just kind of blending out a little bit.
It kind of blended in the rack, man, because 9 Inch Nails or anybody else is putting shit out then. I mean, that's very grungy kind of cover, you know what I mean?
Definitely the photo used, I think. But yeah, I agree. The font of the logo, just of the Van Halen name, it's just kind of just so bland and just there. But I don't know. Maybe
it almost implies demo, don't you think?
Yeah, kind of. It kind of does.
It does, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
Maybe that was Ed's thought at the very last second. Oh, fuck it, just change it, man.
Well, now that we know that this album was pretty much an Ed solo album, essentially, with some accompaniment. Then I mean, that kind of lends merit, doesn't it? Where it
totally fits. I mean, you could see him wanting to move on even from the logo, maybe even. He didn't want that to be front and center, perhaps.
Yeah, it's very evident. Anyone who's heard that, and if you've listened to the show and you're watching this live one, we've already been through it. So it's very evident that there were experimentations happening within this album, as far as Edward's playing goes, and just song structures and things like that. So yeah, I'm willing to kind of lend on the merit of, yeah, this is a different side of Van Halen. Therefore, we're not going to give you the familiar, even in our our package here on the cover of the album. Like, we're not going to give you what you're used to, not the logos, not the colors or what have you, just a simple, Van Halen 3, trying something new. Whether that was the right decision or not, well, that's up to you guys, isn't it?
It was up to the buying public. People vote with their wallets.
Yeah, and it went gold, which nowadays isn't bad, but it's certainly not multi-platinum.
They toured. They toured to support it, right?
They did. They did. And that was pretty successful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I just want to jump to the chat real quick. Our good buddy Jay Steyer says Van Halen 3 equals Eddie solo project with his first Yes Man lead singer and minimal supervision. I think more than the Yes Man lead singer was the Yes Man producer, who was more just kind of
I would say both.
It was a combination. It was
a combination for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But Mike Post was an engineer.
Sycophants running wild around here. You get nothing but sycophants around me.
I love Ed. That looks like me and my beard muscles saying, "Go ahead, punch me in my stomach." Yeah. Attaboy, good on you. Well, what do you say? Should we jump right in and find out what number 12 was?
Might as well.
Do it. Let's do it.
Hopefully it's the same number 12, and if it's not, I'm gonna be very disappointed in all of you.
Well, I tell you what.
Come on.
Do we have any guesses on number 12?
There's
gotta be
once. Gotta be once.
It's gotta be once.
It's gotta be once.
Although when I was listening back again for you guys, like your friends were right. They definitely like you, right? Because even I'm going into this podcast with these guys, and I was like, oh Jesus, what have I signed on for? And so I'm listening again and getting to where I am. And I was almost like, there might be one worse. And we'll talk about that tonight.
Well,
there might be one worse.
There might be.
There might be.
I don't, but I still don't believe it.
It's close. It would be that close.
All right. Well, the Edmonton Oilers just scored. They're up 2-0. This is why we don't have Kelsey on the show. So anyone who
wait a minute,
I'm going to be giving spoilers on games. They're playing Florida, NHL Stanley Cup Game 6.
They're playing Florida.
Yeah.
Go Florida.
Nah, Edmonton all the way, baby. All right. Number 12, Martin Fernandez says, "Is it how many say I?" Jay says it has to be how many say I. You're all saying once. Well, let's find out.
Come on.
There is a
I can see it.
We are all unanimous. We all had this one ranked number 12, and it finished number 12. Sorry, fuck, I fucked that up. I fucked that up. It's not this
a
yet.
stinker.
You guys
let's put it on adult contemporary radio. Let's remix it.
You're being too nice. You're being too nice. Too nice to once.
No, it's how many say I, number 12. We'll find out where once ranks. I just thought I'd start playing it. No, I actually just clicked the wrong fucking thing. It's live, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Florida just scored. God, everything's falling apart. How many say I?
You have to ask yourself, Corey, though, does it really matter? It kind of doesn't.
It kind of doesn't. No. What? How many say I got a total of 50 points?
You just said that? It's hockey, Corey. How could you say such a thing?
Oh, no, I'm still true. It's highest ranking.
Reflection in his face. See it?
How many say I? Its highest ranking on someone's ballot was 3rd.
Wow.
Somebody ranked this 3rd, and he's on the call. So we're going to ask him about it.
Wasn't it?
Its lowest ranking was 12th, obviously. It got 7 votes at number 12. The audience had this ranked 10th. Remember, the audience doesn't rank the instrumental, so this was technically last for our audience as well. So how many say I comes in at number 12? Jay Steyer says, who ranked this 3rd? Well, I'll tell you who it was. It was Chaz. Chaz ranked this one 3rd.
Apologies to Scott. Chaz, explain yourself and make it good.
Are you sure you were ranking this song and not the re-envisioning?
No, I was ranking this one.
All right, okay.
I was ranking this one because, and no apologies to Gary. I'm sorry. We deserve an apology. Okay. So I know I'm wearing the shirt. I'm all bought in, but no, I'm not a big fan of that guy being in this band at all. It was not a good idea ever for me. So Eddie singing to me has more sentimental value than anything Gary did, quite frankly. So that's why it's at number 3 for me. Because when I put on my sentimental lens and look at what Ed did, it's heartwarming, touching song, and it's great. Brings a tear to my eye to hear him sing, and it's cool. So that's why, but not because it's a great song, and certainly you could cut Gary's part out, please. His harmony there, what is that? I mean, it's not even a harmony. I mean, oh, please. We won't go there. I like I said, I still have this thing. It's right here, guys. The weapon.
We may need it. Marvin Fernandez says they played it at the show I attended. I am so sorry. And I know when we were talking about comments earlier, remember Greg DePasquale, Mark? He was actually on the How Many Say I episode. And when you posted out the link, like, hey, we're talking Van Halen 3, he tweeted and just said he still has just like bitter memories, like just post-traumatic stress disorder from being on that show.
Oh, brother, there's counseling for that. There's hope. There's hope. Talk it out. Talk it out. EMDR. Yeah. Go ahead.
Ed says, that's why I love you. Should have maybe. What do you guys think? That's why I love you. Should that have replaced How Many Say I?
I'm playing this part. Turn it off. Turn it off.
How many say?
Come on, Chaz. Bear witness. Bear witness.
I'm going to be in the camper. I think That's Why I Love You should have been on the album instead of How Many Say I.
I'm falling on my desk. I'm going to fall on my pod.
Mark, what do you think? That's Why I Love You. Should that have replaced How Many Say I?
No.
No? You like this one better than That's Why I Love You?
No, I can't. You're right. I can't in good conscience do it. Look, this one's a stinker, but I still think
I love the Law and Order.
I would have imagined maybe it was the fact that I don't know. I'm kind of flabbergasted, but it's fine. It's fine. I won't fight you too hard because this song is not good. Sorry, Chaz. It's not. I understand what Eddie was going for, but it's just totally not good, and it deserves its spot on the last of the floor.
Wow.
Ed says he saw Van Halen 4 times during this tour, and How Many Say I was the background music to my piss break. There you go. But Scott, you're the guy who actually brought up That's Why I Love You. Like, are we ranking that one? Because we technically covered it on the show.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we decided not to because it wasn't on the official track listing. But would you replace How Many Say I with That's Why I Love You?
It's a tough question. I mean, I definitely, as you saw, I would have ranked it slightly higher. But the tough thing with That's Why I Love You, it's a demo. It's not really polished at all. And I would have liked to think they could have workshopped that into something a little bit better, maybe. Hard to say given this period. But, again, for me, I would have just done things completely differently. The only reason this song isn't dead last for me is because Eddie's playing on the piano is kind of nice. I think it's
right. It is.
It's interesting. It's
got orchestral arrangements.
It has like kind of light and dark personalities to it with those deep. It's got the deep bass notes and then those kind of high joyful tones. So I kind of like his playing there. And again, on the New World instrumental, we've done just that. It's a minute 40 instrumental, really, I think is what it deserves to be.
That's cool.
Without any vocals. And Corey, I don't know if you have that still around somewhere, but I think we could cue that up and kind of give people a taste of that.
Are you good on the album track? Is that what I'm hearing? I can fade that out now. Okay.
Oh yeah, please.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though, in the music, right? And this is where I kind of come at it, too, as Scott said, the piano playing there. If you listen to what Ed's playing, because that's what I had to do, is focus on the music. It's unlike anything he's ever done. It's kind of like, it's melancholy. It's introspective. You can kind of feel that, right? For me, it was really emotionally deep when you listen to what's being played, but what the fuck was being sung? It's just, yeah. I mean,
well, and also, we think of past instrumentals, right, from the past albums, and they're all kind of they have their own kind of personality and they're representative kind of the direction that Ed was going at the time. Different kind of flavors. So to me, that's kind of what this song could have served. Is he was clearly into piano a bit, on this album, and
this was atypical Van Halen.
Yeah. So it would have been a very nice instrumental.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into your Redux version here, I just wanted to kind of read a couple of comments or give a couple of scores from some of our Patreons and our good friend Eric Senich, who also had this one ranked number 12. So for Eric, this is also his least popular song on Van Halen 3. And for Kevin Brown, again, number 12 for him. He actually would give this a 5 out of 10. His comment was, just ill-conceived top to bottom. Ed can't sing lead, The song itself is way too long, and it's a weak lyric. So I thought that kind of summed it up. Now, speaking of Kevin Brown, I do have your Redux version here. I'll start playing it here for you. So it starts off the same. We got the Law and Order gun in the criminal justice system. Kind of ironic with Mike Post producing this one.
There's no irony.
He's known for his television theme compositions. So interesting you kept all this in. I like how your version's
kind of nice, I think.
Yeah, it's only a minute 40.
Right.
Which is great. See, and for me, this song was, again, just kind of missed opportunity. There's promise here. There's good stuff here. I'm kind of glad you cut out all the stuff that didn't really work and just kept in all the stuff that did. And this would be one of the better instrumentals, I think, really in Van Halen.
It's kind of a nice progression here, I
Listen,
think.
that's very, it's sweeping, and it builds. And to me, this is like that pub song kind of, it's just like an introspective kind of feel to it in the music there, right? That you can almost sing along with it.
Infinitely better.
It's infinitely better. It's night and day.
Yep. Kind of like all the little things we did like about this.
Yep.
Just kind of put together. So
you would think that with enough of the tiny little bits that are likable and with the sentimental value of Ed's performance of this song, that it would have been voted just a wee bit higher. And by higher, I just mean to the 11th spot.
I know, right?
That's
I'm
where
still
it belongs.
blown away by it.
That's where I had it.
blown
I
away.
had it at number 11.
That's where
Got
mine
me.
was.
Fucking punked us, man.
All right, so number 11 has to be the other stinker
it's-
on the album, right?
If it's not, then this is a sham.
I don't
This
know,
whole thing's a
Mark. I don't
sham.
know. I'm with you, Ben.
I don't know either. Eh?
I'm with you, man.
Well, what if I told you it wasn't?
What?
Then Mark has left the show.
This is actually what finished at number 11.
What?
Wow, okay.
What?
Primary.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, Primary comes at number 11.
Fuck out of here.
Oh.
Of
70
the
points.
instrumentals on this one,
Jeez.
this is easily the better one.
Oh,
Which
okay.
isn't saying a lot.
Right? Right?
Somebody had this ranked number 2. Number 2.
Wow.
He's also on the call. We'll get his comments later. 4 people ranked this dead last. The most votes it got was either last or in 10th. 4 people on each side voted at 12th and 10th. I don't know. Sounds kind of cool. Mark says this is the best instrumental on the record. But Chaz Charles, you said this was the second best track on Van Halen 3.
You're damn right it did, man.
Yeah.
Listen to that. Is that like anything you've ever heard Eddie Van Halen play before?
No?
He's played the sitar on one of your favorite songs, Ain't Talking About Love.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done other weird things over the years, too. And he's played a lot of weird guitars, but I don't know what the fuck he's playing on this. It's wild, man. And you go ahead and try and play it. So
Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, what is that he's playing?
I have no idea. Sounds really cool. I think it's a sitar, but I don't. He's probably one of those guitars that he had back in the day. And I'm not a geek that way. I can't, rattle off all the electro slide or whatever the fuck guitars he had.
I
But
thought
he
he
had
was
so
just
many
using
different
some
guitars.
sort of like a weird effect pedal.
I'm wondering if it's a top Jimmy guitar. So he's got
Well-
that one where he can it's really very odd.
I did
guitar.
find the answer here. It's a choral electric sitar.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah.
a sitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It was wild. I thought it was incredible playing again. So, as far as musical experimentation and fucking weirdness, man, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, I'd love to turn people onto that and be like, oh, especially like my friends that are into Ravi Shankar and other types of, music from the region, and say, yeah, it was Eddie Van Halen. Oh, who's Eddie Van Halen? Because I know a lot of people who have no idea who Eddie Van Halen is.
Well, that's just
So, yeah.
If that's Chaz's number 2, that just gives you an idea of how he really feels about the rest of the tracks on this album.
pretty much. Well, Jay says it best here. I have a feeling the rankings for this album will be all over the place more than any other Van Halen album. I think you're 100% correct. Scott Monroe, you ranked this one 10th.
I did, yeah. I like the experimentation. The sitar is cool, but to me, it's kind of as a standalone instrumental, which really it's serving as a intro to Ballad or the Bullet. It's kind of weird, I think, in that way. I would have maybe preferred to have seen it incorporated into the solo of Ballad or the Bullet to kind of juice up that song a little, a nice maybe 15, 20 seconds of the sitar there. But again, I don't think it really stands on its own for me. It's a little long and meandering, but it's cool. It's cool for what it is, so I put it at 10.
All right. Well, I didn't mind Primary at all. I put this one at number 8. Mark, you had this one at number 9 though, but still, you say it's the best instrumental on the album for you.
Yeah, it's over the other one, and then if you'll notice, it's also if it's number 9, then it's definitely above 2 other regular tracks that deserve to be at the bottom spot. I dig it, and kind of everything Scott said, but the opposite. Like, I actually do feel like this one stands by itself, and I understand if the incorporating it into Ballad or Bullet, but I feel like I would hate Ballad or Bullet more if Primary was incorporated into it. So because it's separate, I can enjoy it for it being itself. It's just like its own thing. Which I guess, spoiler alert, how I feel about Ballad or Bullet. But yeah, I didn't mind it. Is it like the greatest instrumental they've done? Not by a long shot, but I mean, I like that it's weird. This whole album's weird, but I don't know. I dig it, but it didn't get higher up on the list. It's the best of the instrumentals, therefore it's going to be lower for that, just because it's not a real song per se. But that said, it still got above the other instrumental and 2 regular tracks, so it's not so bad.
Well, I tell you what, both instrumentals for me made it above 4 standard tracks on this record. But I was just listening to Pot of Thunder today. They had John Mottola from the Deep Purple podcast as their guest. They were covering a Van Halen tune, actually. They were doing She's the Woman from A Different Kind of Truth. But they were talking to John, who's not a big Van Halen fan, about what he thought of the band. And one thing he said going through listening to the records was how avant-garde they kind of got on the instrumentals. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of. Like outside of like Spanish Fly and Eruption. Yeah, they really do kind of get avant-garde.
This is what I don't understand about you guys. Like Mark just saying like, oh, well, it's not really a song. It's an instrumental. It's a fucking song. I write songs. A lot of them are instrumentals,
It's an interlude.
I don't know.
All right.
Semantics, I know.
Where did you have it, Corey?
Sorry?
Where did you have it, Corey?
Semantical.
Primary, I had it number 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not bad. Not
bad. Yeah. Big fan of this.
Yeah. Well, considering where instrumentals usually end up around here, always at the bottom of the list. Right. So that's not bad at all.
Yeah. So we've already gone through 2 tracks. We have our first instrumental at 11. Are we going to get the next one at 10? What do you guys think? We still have another one
at this rate.
But Scott, you see this album really is
Come on,
it's
got to be once now. It's got to be once.
Does it?
It should be, but I'm thinking it's probably not. I'm gonna guess that it's probably New World.
How about an ode to the lovely Josephina?
Wow.
Okay.
Josephina comes in at number 10, 85 points. The highest it got on one ballot was 4th. So not a lot of love for Josephina. Its lowest ranking was 11th on one ballot as well. The most votes it got was in the number 9 position. 6 people voted it there, and the audience had this one ranked number 6. So they were a little kinder to Josephina than our people submitting rankings were, but maybe let's start with Mark Kamier on this one. Josephina, you had it coming in at number 6.
I'm gonna see if I can get as close to my camera as possible so I can address the people that put these rankings in. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? There is a song on this album that has already made it way too high on the list, and you all should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. That's what I have to say. You should be ashamed of yourself, because you know in your heart of hearts that there is one particular song that belongs not this high on the list. It belongs in the furthest depths of hell. That's how low on the list it belongs. And yet, here we are. You think Josephina deserves the 10th spot, Corey? Or
yeah, 10th.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
I'm not here to tell you that Josephina is great, because it's not. It made my number 6. That
number 6.
Yeah, it made my number 6.
Whoa! I thought we were aligned.
You had a 10th, Chaz.
Aligned. Chaz, you had.
On once we are aligned. On once we are aligned.
No, that was a brief moment in time. No, but seriously, no, Josephina. No, I get it. It's not. It's nowhere close to the best of their abilities on this album, let alone the catalog. But to say that this belongs at number 10 is being overly generous to several other tracks, and I don't get it, and I really am going to need explanations from all of you.
Well, Tom had it 8th, our good friend Tom Armbruster. Ed in the chat had it 11th. So right around the same spot, but Chaz, you had this one at 10.
Oh, man, come on. This is the creepiest fucking song, knowing that it's really about their grandmothers and just the lyrics.
His mother.
Was it his mother or his?
Man,
I thought it was his grandmother. Whatever. It's creepy as hell. I can't. And no, and honestly, so like I said, you know what? Just for my own sake, I can't even. There are no vocals and there are no lyrics on this record. It's an instrumental record for me. Okay, so I just can't, because all of the songs are like shades of what the fuck. Just like the guy when he's dancing on the stage. But anyway, musically, Josephina just was a weird. It was, it was okay. There were 2 songs that were worse. This one there was not a lot in it for me. It was, just, yeah.
Well, Scott, on the panel, you had the highest score for Josephina. Where did I put her? I put her at 9. So, yeah. Well, you had it at 5, though.
5.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's too long. Like a lot of the songs on this album, it's 2 minutes too long. The outro is just like, I don't know what's going on there. The weakest part is clearly the pre-chorus. To me, a pre-chorus, it develops the song. It should kind of lift you into the chorus, give you that kind of momentum. But it just, to me here, the pre-chorus just kind of veers it off track and brings it down. So surprise, surprise, we cut out the pre-chorus in the edit. But there's still, even with that, there's still enough here that I enjoy. I dig Eddie's playing. I do think Gary sounds really good in the verses, and I do like the story that he's telling in the lyrics, because although he did write it about his mother, I think it's kind of a nice look at just kind of pondering what family members were like when they were younger. I mean, it's a good kind of notion, and it's not helped by the weird pre-chorus, I'll give you that. But yeah. I guess I look past that part of it and enjoy it as a whole. Eddie has some nice licks that I like.
There are some great solos. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, there was musical merit to it. That's why it did get as high as it did to number 10.
Yeah, and to me, this has Gary's imprint on it the most, maybe out of all the songs. It's kind of it's like an acoustic I could have seen Extreme doing, maybe in that way. So I don't know. I dug it enough to put it at 5.
Well, here we're getting that outro here where it's.
Yeah, there were a couple of musical things in it, but overall, it's so tainted by Gary. Sorry.
Everybody grab your drink. Apologies to Gary.
No.
Well, is that the first one?
I put a different context on that. It was a little different spin.
By the way, for those watching the stream, the Florida goal was disallowed on an offside. They reviewed it.
What?
Called it back, so it's 2-0 Edmonton. 10 minutes, 38 seconds to go in the second period.
Oh, shit.
I can tell I want to rifle through this so I can hopefully watch the entire third period of the hockey.
Let's pick up the pace.
All right, well, then it's time for number 9. Number 9 is gotta be.
Wayne Gretzky, is he there?
No, the camera keeps looking for Oiler Girl in the crowd, hoping she's going to flash the crowd again. But.
Oiler Girl. All right, hit us with number 9, because at this point I'm not even gonna guess anymore.
Oiler Girl is the best thing to happen to Canada in a very long time. I'll have you know.
I'm gonna have to Google that later.
Yeah, look up on Twitter. You're gonna enjoy yourself.
Turn on your incognito mode.
All right, number 9.
Shit.
Number 9's gotta be right. Gotta be.
Fucking with us.
Ed's calling for Ballad or the Bullet. We still have a big one on the board here that we all ranked dead last. Does it come in here? Nope.
What?
We are getting the
Mark. What is
poor
going
Mark.
on here?
We're gonna get a renting of a maniac pretty
trolled.
soon. Number 9, New World, 89 points. Somebody on this call ranked this number 1, the top song on Van Halen 3. Two people ranked this the worst. The most votes it got was in the 10th spot, the 7th spot, and the 5th spot. Of course, the audience didn't rank this one, so we don't have an audience ranking on this one. But man, I really like New World. This is one of my favorite Van Halen instrumentals. Maybe I love how they bring in the melody line from Without You on this. Just some wonderful little playing. Should it kick off a rock record? I don't know. Probably not. But as a song, I kind of dug it. I had New World. Here we go. See, no, I have this one number 6 on my ballot. I'm a big fan of New World. Mark Kammeyer, you had this one. This is you said primary is better than this one. You put this one at 10.
Yeah, I did not. Don't really have much of a connection to this song. If anything, it gives me some vibes of some shit I hear in Nashville a lot, and so that right away makes me cringe. So it's and it's not an actual song. So I mean, it's gonna come down. Very few Van Halen instrumental songs are gonna make it high on the list. The 2 that do are Eruption and Spanish Fly. And there's probably a few more as well. But anyway,
316.
Yeah, you're right. So there are exceptions to the rule, but this time it's Van Halen 3, and it's like and you're right, Corey. You can't use this one to start off like what is supposed to be a hard rock album. This is just, and I get it. Maybe they thought, oh well, this is just a little soft launch, and then we hit you with something heavy, but at that point you've lost interest. You've lost the audience's interest and attention, at least mine. So no, it wasn't gonna. And yet, Corey, it was still my number 10, which means I still ranked it above 2 other songs that rightfully belong at the bottom of the list.
That's right. One we've covered and one we mysteriously have not yet.
I think we're being trolled. That's what I think, and I'm upset with everybody.
Well, Scott, you thought New World was number 8.
I did. I quite like it. It's serene, peaceful. It's a nice mixture of acoustic and piano, again with the piano. I think I agree with you guys totally. It's most effective elsewhere in the album, not as the lead. As far as sequencing, you have to lead off this album with Without You, with those drums. That's what you do to get, if you're going to have any shot at all of getting people into this album, you start with Without You, not with New World. For me, New World is I think it's a intro to Josephina, just kind of getting into that more serene kind of state. But it's good for what it is. But I just I don't like the placement, and it's there's not a whole lot more to say about it.
Chaz Charles, you had this one number 1.
I did. I mean, to me, this is like a hidden gem in the Van Halen catalog if you're really into Eddie's instrumentals. So, I mean, it's just ethereal. There's something about the playing on it. And to me, it's like I said, it's like a hidden gem. It's like you find it. And to me, starting the album off, it's Van Halen 3. It's a new era. I can see what he was doing. And Corey, think about the Foo Fighters. One of your favorite, soft rock, soft intros was with the Foo Fighters, right?
That's right.
Same kind of thing there. I think this is Eddie saying, breaking expectations. This was him setting his own mood, saying this is what he was making a musical statement. And that's how he started it. And that's, I thought it was, like Scott said, it's really so serene. It's got a great melody. And to me, it's a little bit jaunty, as I've felt in other parts of the record. So I just, again, it's like one of those things I would love to find, like, you never, like, say you never knew that Van Halen 3 existed. And then like in 30 years, you find this fucking recording and you put it on, and it's like, Back to the Future, it says Edward Van Halen, you put it in and you're like, what the fuck? But then you hear those taps at the end and you're like, oh yeah, that's Eddie Van Halen. Right.
See, to
Because
me,
his
and
stamp is right there.
that's the interesting question, Chaz. Do
Mhm.
you lead off this track for a Van Halen album, or do you lead it
Mhm.
off for an Eddie solo album? I think you
Mm.
absolutely lead an Eddie solo album with this. With the Van Halen
Good
album,
point. There you go.
I don't think that was the call.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe
Well said.
this is the coda to the record. Maybe you put it last, especially with the Without You
right.
callback, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it's a nice bookend to the record.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have let it off, though. I think we pretty much all
No,
agree
it
on that
shouldn't
one.
have.
All right.
It'll
well,
be interesting to see where it ends up on Redux.
that's right.
Boy.
All right, we're coming up to song number 8. This one's gotta be right. no one's real.
At this point, we're just like, whatever, man. It's probably fucking number one.
You
It's
already
Because so
not.
many people heard it on adult contemporary radio.
Number 8 is the song that we all on the call ranked dead last.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Once
So
comes in-
high. So
Yeah.
high.
Somebody had this as their favorite song on Van Halen 3.
I'm getting
One
tired
person.
of this troll thing.
4
It was
people ranked this
12.
12th. The 4 people on this call ranked this 12th. All of us had this last. The most votes it got were 12th and 11th for a piece.
Real Van Halen fans have spoken.
And the audience had this one ranked 7th. Remember, that's out of 10 because they don't rank the instrumental. So, once. Mark and Meyer, let's hear a ranting of a maniac. Tell us your thoughts on what's. I'm going to bring in your tight shot for you. You just go ahead, yell at everybody.
The only reason that, look, that's just like, I have to get my thoughts together. Okay, like this, it's really difficult for a band of the caliber of Van Halen, who has at this point in their careers made such a monumental mark on the culture as well as music, and we already know how skilled of musicians they are, especially Edward Van Halen. But they've never been perfect every time, and we know that. This journey through this show has taught us that you can't bat 1,000 every single time. But even some of the stinkers are okay because the musicianship is good. Something happened when they decided to record once. Something terrible happened. Maybe the stars didn't align. Maybe the planets were out of orbit. Maybe an alien came down and just like kicked Eddie in the face and said, everything you're doing's wrong, do it this way instead. And he's just like, I'm concussed. Okay, I'll do it. Because this song is just like nonsense drivel. The entire thing, it's nonsense. I have heard some nonsensical music in my day. No disrespect, but there's so much of Bjork's music that is nonsensical. That's just one example, but there's plenty more. This makes me want to just do a show about Bjork's catalog that I don't even really like, but I want to because it will get me as far away from this song as humanly possible, because there's nothing to like about it, and I'm, at least not to me. What about this song suggests for all of you voting out there that this deserved a spot in the top 10? I mean, this is like, because there's 12 tracks technically, so it's like this, but this one definitely deserved, not the last track, it definitely deserved to be somewhere in the middle. Number 8, why not? No, that's still too high. What is it about this song that even remotely suggests that it is worthy to say, you know what, I've got some positives I can find in there? I'm assuming Chaz and Scott are both going to tell me what those positives are, because Corey's not going to do it. Corey ranked this one last. Scott, I think you ranked this one last, but yet you still have positive things to say.
I got nothing. Nope, I got nothing.
Scott's got nothing.
I can't.
Monroe's got nothing.
I cannot. Not a single thing about the song that I like. You know,
there you go. The proof's in the pudding, and the pudding tastes like shit. And so I don't understand why you insist on keep dipping your spoon into it. Like, what's happening? Corey, help me.
Well, I'm looking in the chat, and we got a few people in the chat who like Once. Jay Steyer, I like Once.
What?
It's different. He had it at number 4. Marvin Fernandez had it at number 9.
It's different. It is different.
Yeah. My new best friend Ed had it at number 7.
Wow.
Jay Steyer goes, Once probably wouldn't have been so weird for some if Crossing Over had been released to the masses. I don't know if I get a Crossing Over vibe at all from this. I don't know. Because like he points out, Crossing Over is very dark and powerful. Yes, Once I really don't think it is. But I tell you, some people, I don't want to say some people, but the people who are submitting rankings, they put Once kind of high. I'm just going through the ballots here. Scott Everett, I had this one 4th. 6th for Jeff Brewer. Tom Armbruster had it 2nd. I know, and he even put in his comments, fuck you, I like Once. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm happy you like it.
Tim Armbuster, look at mess you up. Fuck you.
It's like, fuck you, I like it.
Yeah,
fuck you.
Fair enough. Heath McCoy had it 4th. Even Eric Senich had it number 6. So Once does have its defenders. It doesn't feel like a Van Halen song. And, there's no drums on it. There's no bass. It's electric, synthesized bass. Eddie's playing everything.
There's no melodic content in this song at all. Come on, man. Piece of...
Jeff Burr says, am I late? No, you're not. We just started, my friend. We're talking about Once. Ranked number 8 by our good folks.
No. Where did Brewer rank it?
Brewer had it number 6.
Oh, my
That's
God.
That's still too high. Brewer, explain yourself.
My God, and people are voting down Primary? Wow. Screw all of you. Screw all of you.
Tom says,
see what this album does to people?
Tom says, listen to the solo.
Yeah, we're going. It's fisticuffs.
What did you guys think of the solo?
See on the parking lot after the show.
Come on, Chaz, you're a guitar player. What was the solo like?
Oh, man, come on. There's nothing about this song. No, I'm with Scott. There's no merit in this
It's
song.
a lifeless solo.
Yeah.
No. This song does not deserve to be. This should not have seen the light of day.
So I think
and they doubled down on it, Scott. Hold on, though. That's the problem with this damn song.
They did a remix
doubled
of it,
down on it, and it is. Oh my God! I mean, this is got to be the worst fucking thing in Mike Post's catalog. I mean, with his name on it, honestly, this thing is just like, oh my God! I can't even believe the attempt that they made, the play that they made, the story that we got from Eric that they've made the play to radio, right? That they did a remix and they did the video, right? And just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this is kind of the natural end point. It's the natural end point, right, of wanting to go completely different in a new direction, but they need it to be reined in here, okay? Maybe there's a kernel of something that you can possibly work with, but again, we tried to re-edit this one and we can't. You really can't do anything with what's here. I understand Eddie is going for this kind of layered soundscape type thing, and it builds, but it's just so plotting. It doesn't build to anything interesting for me at all.
Yeah, it's like a fucking soundtrack to L.A. Law or something in the background.
And all over the plate. And I'm sorry, apologies to Gary, not at all. It's a big, big miss for Gary. I mean,
sorry, Gary. No,
the delivery is cringe, and just way off base on the lyrics. It's just total failure all the way around.
Yeah. Jeff says the solo's okay. Nothing special in the Eddie Van Halen catalog. That was kind of my position on it. Chaz says, okay's too nice.
My God, yeah. Oh God, there's no merit. This song has no merit.
No, it
does not belong to. It does not
but
deserve to live.
I for one am looking forward to having Tom on the show to talk about the merits of the song, because I want to hear those perspectives, because they're out there.
And I tell you what, I mentioned somebody had this ranked number 1. It's our good friend Ryan Powell.
Yes.
What?
Ryan Powell.
No, I get that. Yep.
No shit.
Yep.
Now I know a lot of times with Ryan, I bet you there's a story involved. He did
either.
All right. Well, sentimental stories and attachments don't count. You can get attached to anything, man. Come on.
I mean,
no, they count. I
think Corey's favorite song is by the B-52s, isn't it, Corey? I mean,
Love
you
Shack.
got a weird attachment to Love Shack, don't you? And the Come and Go. I mean,
that's right.
Who doesn't have an attachment to Love Shack? What are you talking about?
It was on the radio when he was at the Come and Go.
Everything was on the radio at the Come and Go. We're not going to get into that tonight. Maybe it's just a Tar Armbruster saying, fuck you, I like it. And you know what? Fair enough.
And that's cool. That's totally cool.
That's totally cool.
Yeah. Apologies to no one. Fuck you. I like it.
Unless you're Kevin Brown, in which case, fuck you too.
For Ryan, I do remember when we did the show, I remember Ryan was in the chat with us, and I remember him explaining, I mean, for him, it is that whole layered soundscape thing. You know, he just likes to kind of be immersed in the layers and to hear those layers develop, that's cool. That's great. For me, the layers don't amount to anything.
Well, layers amount and they accumulate, and when you're puking in the toilet and it gets clogged and you keep puking and it's just piling up. I mean, that's the kind of layers that accumulate with this garbage, with this song. I'm sorry.
How you doing over there, Chaz? You haven't self-harmed?
Too graphic.
Have you? No.
I put the knife away. Look, I put the knife away.
Well, to Ryan, if he likes a soundscape, a wall of sound, then I would encourage you to listen to the Devin Townsend project and put Once away. But that's,
there you go. Fair enough.
All right. Well, there it is. The less said about this, the better. I'm baffled. Corey, let's move on.
All right.
Well, what he should listen to is the new Today Was Yesterday featuring Alex Lifeson, which is going to be featured as the part of the new Rush Rash 911 new podcast coming in the Chasmaverse. You heard it here first.
More podcasts. Jesus.
But yeah, you want to talk layered, really cool, fucking deep ambient sounds, man. That's the shit to listen to. Today Was Yesterday.
All right. Are you done promoting your own shit? Can we move it on here? Jeff Brewer in the chat says another melancholy D minor tune, the saddest of all keys. Lick My Love Pump was better.
So this piece is called Lick My Love Pump.
That's right.
Yes.
D minor is a very sad key. I'll give you that.
Saddest of all keys.
It's the saddest of all keys. Everybody knows
it's the saddest of all keys.
Yeah. All right, time for number 7. We're out of instrumentals, so we're getting into the meat of the album here. Let's find out what it is. Oh, we got some guitar. Could it be that bad? Well, the people doing our ranking sure think so. Ballot or the Bullet comes in at number 7. Total points 109. The highest that got in anybody's rankings was second spot. 2 people ranked it second. The lowest ranking was 11th. 3 people put it there. 3 people also put it at 8th and 7th as well. The audience had this one ranked 9th. And as Jay points out in the chat, 3-0 Oilers. They just scored. Woo! That's going to make listening to Ballot or the Bullet a little bit better for me. Where did I have Ballot or the Bullet? I put this at number 7.
I don't think it matters.
I was right here, right where the audience ranked it. Mark Meyer, Ballad of the Bullet, also your number 7 song as well.
It did, and I'll tell you, the music is trying really hard to make you care, and then the content of the lyrics just completely just destroy it. And it's
shit all over that idea.
I mean, we talked about it when we covered the song. Like, I don't know where or the why this was the direction they decided to go, but the whole thing just completely it's not the worst song in the catalog, obviously, but it's a dud. It's a real dud, and unfortunately, musically it could have been good, but it just falls flat because of everything else involved. So apologies to Gary, but yeah, you did not do good on that one, my dude.
Well, what do we think about Gary Cherone as a lyricist? Like, even thinking back to his extreme stuff, are the lyrics really his strong game?
I guess not. That's a good point. But then, we say that about David Lee Roth all the time. But then sometimes
David Lee Roth, they are a strong
Wholehearted,
point.
Time Out, fair, not fair, Wholehearted, and what's the other one? The other hit?
More Than Words.
More Than Words?
More Than Words. Those are beautiful songs.
They are beautiful
classics.
songs.
They're great songs. Right.
But those
That's
are
it.
2.
There you go.
Like,
I'm with you.
Sorry, we
Gary.
love Extreme, and so because the music rocks and because they sound so good doing it lyrically, we're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Give it a pass, and we do that a lot with some Van Halen songs as well, right?
No.
But then there are some that just don't pass the test. Ballot or the Bullet is one of them for me.
Well, let's face it, Gary Cherone could sing the phone book and make it entertaining, right? Doesn't matter really what the lyrics are, right? But I agree, the lyrics in this one.
As long as he doesn't sing it the way he sung this album.
What kind of shapes is he throwing on stage when he's singing this one?
I don't know. Why don't you do a little dance first, Chaz?
What's with this dude? I mean, seriously, he's like Steve Clark used to be with the guitar all around the stage. It's like, what are you doing?
Steve Clark with the guitar slung so low he's playing at his knees. Yeah. Jeff Brewer says the verse riff in this is really good. The chorus is a little annoying, probably a little too political for Van Halen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know about
yeah.
too political, but because I mean, you
Yeah.
can go back and find a lot of little political ones in their music, but to each their own.
I mean, for me, the politics piece of it, the real issue is that they're all just kind of throwaway cliches. There's no real there's no real message here. They're just kind of all cliches that are strung together. So there's no meat to it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
maybe
kind of
I would have
stupid.
I would have maybe accepted it if there was some kind of message, but there's really nothing there.
Well, but the message that is there, think about the time, the ballad or the bullet. I mean, people are fucking psycho these days. What the fucking, why are you, provoking that shit by making statements like that? Especially when you got nothing to say. Why are you being, violently provocative? I mean, this is already an album that's got Dirty Water Dog on it and Fire in the Hole. I mean, come on,
It was 1998 when this came out, Chaz.
As a lyricist, this guy was trash on this record. Please.
It was like 26 years ago that this album came out, so a little different time.
This was a simpler time, Chaz.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, not really.
No?
Nope, you got to think back, man. There was plenty of shit going on at that time. Plenty of shit.
All right. Well, Jeff is calling out Get the Funk Out for having pretty good lyrics. I think Decadence Dance had pretty good lyrics, too.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, Get the Funk Out. Okay.
Love that tune. Love that tune. Still going to see Extreme in October. I'm going to be wearing my Apologies to Gary shirt when I go see Extreme. Hopefully he yells something at me like, what the fuck is that?
He better.
He said, you!
It's you.
Up on stage now.
I
no,
take
man, he's got your pictures. He knows who you are.
Yeah, he knows who I am.
He's got a T-shirt for you. He's
right.
waiting. Oh, he knows.
All right, well, that's Ballad or the Bullet, number 7. Time to play the number 6 song now. And here we go. Oh, it's barely there, but you can hear it. There it goes.
Coming in, slowly coming in.
Slowly coming in. It's the one and only very dark, dreary From Afar. Comes in at number 6. It got 120 points, so not too bad for the number 6 song. Its highest ranking was 2nd on 2 ballots. Its lowest ranking was 11th on 2 ballots. Most votes it got was number 7. Audience had this one ranked 8th. And something just occurred to me. I didn't bring it up when we were talking about New World, but our good friend Michael Griffith, who couldn't be here tonight, actually that was his wedding song, was New World.
Oh,
hey, there you go.
And
for him, great choice.
And a little apropos, the marriage didn't last. He got divorced. He's actually getting married tonight.
Hey!
Whoa!
That is why he is not here. Michael Griffin getting married. Good call. I would rather be getting married than listening to Van Halen 3. But he wanted to, make a special point. They are not dancing to New World for this wedding here. So hopefully this will last.
Away, sir.
Nice, nice.
It's like poetry. It's like poetry.
Yeah, dance to Panama and have yourself an amazing time. So congrats to Michael Griffin.
All right, From Afar, number 6. What do we feel there? Chaz, where did you have From Afar? This was your number 11.
Shit.
Holy cow.
Fucking A. Yeah, that's where I was saying to Mark, there could be one worse than once. I don't know. When I was listening to this again, I was like, this song is fucking just why? Why, Eddie? This didn't need to come out. I mean, musically, it was really uninspired. I tried so hard to appreciate it. So this is where I'm really hoping. So like what I've done here tonight, I'm not giving anything away, like with where my opinion goes on regarding Van Halen 3. We're going into it with an established baseline here. I got a very clear ranking. And what I'm hoping is as we go through the discovery and that maybe some things will change. But this is one I'm just like, God, I don't understand it. Like if Rush does a difficult song, I'm all into it. I'm all into really embracing it and trying to figure out how it works and then seeing how it works. This is one that's so difficult. I'm like, no fucking way. So that's why I was like between this and Once, like musically speaking, this one's for me worse than Once, but Once is just so atrocious. It had to be the last. So this one, just slap it right on top and push it together because they really go together.
All right. Well, I mentioned that 2 people had this ranked number 2. They also happen to be related. It's our good friends Sean and Todd McGinnity from Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is the only song they agreed on. Was From Afar was number 2, and they have I know they've been in bands together and stuff, but looking at their rankings, they're always like wildly different. There's usually only ever one song that they agree on, and they agreed on this one.
Oh, they were so complimentary after the last show. He's going to have some words for me on this one, I bet.
Jeff Brewer says From a Fart would have been a better name. Not a fan of this.
There you go.
Jay Steyer says this song is creepy, haunting, and a bit stalker-ish. A bit? Sure.
No, stalkerish. He's right.
Go.
I mean, it's hard to not draw that conclusion.
Absolutely.
Well, hello.
But is it more just because it
Like
might
Queensryche,
be stalkerish
right?
doesn't
Watching
mean it
you.
couldn't have been a hit? I mean, ask the police, right?
Every breath you
Queensryche-
take.
The
Biggest
Police,
stalker song of all time.
Queensryche.
Yeah.
Right.
There have been hit,
Which Queensryche song?
watching you.
Oh,
I'm-
yeah.
Yeah. I'm 6 or 7 steps behind you. I'm so close to you. Talk about the creepiest song in heavy metal.
I just
and
wanted
it's
your
got
Jeff
to be
Tate
it.
impression, that's all.
All right, Scott
Oh,
Monroe.
you do it. I bet you can do it.
Scott, you had this one number 5. Let's get back on track here.
No, I had it 7.
Did you have it 7? Who am I looking
I
at?
had it 7. Yep.
You're looking at mine.
Okay. Go-
Yeah, for me, this is kind of a part of a trilogy of songs. So I kind of lump From Afar, Ballad of the Bullet, and Dirty Water Dog together. To kind of, these are kind of the non-traditional rockers on the album, I would say, like where, you know, there are, for me, kind of interesting elements, interesting riffs at times to them, but they veer off into weird, different directions, and they're kind of representative, I guess, of where Ed was trying to go musically beyond a classic sound. So for me, I look at this and it just, again, it needs a tighter edit. It takes too long to get going there in the intro that we listened to.
Yeah.
I think I like Gary's lower register delivery. The lyrics are a bit weird at times, but there are elements of it that I like going into the solo. The harmonics that Ed has there are kind of interesting. At the 3:45 mark, specifically, there's a part where Gary comes in with For the Distance Between Us, and I think he really kind of nails that. It's a really good delivery from him. So there are parts of it that I really do dig, actually. I think it's kind of just where I have it in the middle for me. It's kind of a middle song.
Right. Well, in the chat, I was mentioning at the beginning, he said this number 2. Jeff Brewer said, it's number 2, all right. And then Josh, of course.
2?
Yeah, who does number 2 work for? Any Austin Power fans will get that reference. Mark, let's give you the final word on From Afar. I put this one 10th. I'm really not a fan of this one at all. But yeah, this one number 5.
I was more lenient on this one. Maybe I was just in a particular mood, feeling drab, having to go back through this one, and it just hit me in the right spot. But that being said, that does not mean that I think it's a great track, because it's not. It is, however, I like Scott pointed out that he thinks of this as kind of one in a trilogy of Ballad or Bullet and Dirty Water Dog. Definitely for me, this one, I would agree with that, and this one stands apart from the other two, just in the sense of this one is more tolerable for me. It's less nonsensical lyrically. I mean, it's definitely talking about something. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'll let you be the judge. But and then musically, I think it's fine. It must be more than fine. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than some of the other ones we've talked about. But yeah, it's a stinker, but it's less of a stinker, at least for me, when you consider the entire package. So yeah, I don't know. It just landed in a better spot with me, given the time frame of me listening to it. Tomorrow, I might think this is worse than once. I might agree, but it is not today.
Well, I tell you what, if this is a musical trilogy, then it's the fucking Twilight of trilogies.
Well, it's interesting too. Gary said in an interview that he kind of wondered, in retrospect, maybe they should have released this as the first single to kind of clearly signal the new direction they were going in. And I think, as you would say, Mark, that's a choice.
That would have been a choice, and it's wrong, but it would have been a choice. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
All right. Well, before we leave From Afar, I wanted to go back to our good buddy Kevin Brown, who had this one ranked number 9. He gives this a 6 out of 10. He says something quite interesting here, though. He goes, one of the tracks where Ed tries something completely different. I dig this track for its strangeness and ambition. It just doesn't quite live up to its own potential. It has very Brian May vibes to me, which is maybe why I like it probably more than the other people. Brian May is like the rocker in Queen. He's more the straight ahead guy. He's not the fucking weird guy.
No.
I didn't get that at
it's
all.
anything. It's like
Interesting
Alex
take, yeah.
Lifeson. Yeah, really weird, abstract stuff. Like I said, just listened to a song the other night on Rush Rash, and it was really kind of like, wow, it was really challenging. It shouldn't work, but hell, you get to the end and it just does. And this just, I can't buy in. Can't find that place, man. It just doesn't work.
Does it got like Queen 2, Brian May vibes to it? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'm not feeling Brian May. No.
I won't completely, dismiss that, just in the sense of Kevin's very steeped in
Yeah, he
Queen's
is.
catalog.
I get
so
it. Sure.
he is likely hearing something that maybe, us, casual
layman,
whatever, like maybe we're not
fans.
hearing, because we're not steeped in the musicality of it all. So I won't shit all over Kevin on that one. So he might be hearing something we're not hearing for that comparison, but
Connor Burton in the chat goes, can you guys cover some Montrose songs? Tell you what, season 4, we're doing solo stuff. We'll see if some Montrose makes the wheel, but yeah, you may be happy. But yeah, I just thought that was,
Montrose record. Yes.
I don't know if I was going to equate this to anybody, maybe Roger Taylor. I mean, he's the guy who wrote about fucking his car.
That's a great song, man. Come on.
Got a feel for my automobile.
In love with my car.
I ain't falling for no banana in the tailpipe. All right. Time for number 5. That's right, the top 5 here. And it's the next song in the musical shit trilogy, or shitology, if you will.
Dirty?
It's dirty. It's a Dirty Water Dog, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 5.
Rock and roll broom handle.
That's right.
What do you think they were thinking with this intro here? Because I don't have a clue.
Thinking is a bad word. All right, Dirty Water Dog, number 5, 124 points. Somebody had this ranked number 3 on their ballot. One person had this ranked 10th. The most spots it got was 5th. Actually, 6 people had it ranked 5th. The audience had this one ranked 4th. So Dirty Water Dog. Who the heck ranked this one 3rd? Let's see if I could find that one. You think I'd be more prepared, but Sean McGinnity again had this one ranked number 3 on his list. So I had Dirty Water Dog at number 5, right where the audience had it here. Mark Kamara, you had this one number 8, a little lower than how we have it ranked here.
Yeah, Dirty Water is certainly a term for this song. Yeah, no, this song blows. I did not enjoy it when we covered it the first time, and this was I think this was an early one.
Yes. I think it was the very first Van Halen 3 song we did, I think, yeah.
It might have been. So, you're right, it was. So this was my introduction to the album, because, as I famously said, I had not heard any of Van Halen 3 until we started this journey. So this was my introduction. Not a good start. Not a good way to ease my listening into the soundscape that is Van Halen 3, which I think we can safely assume probably helped inform how I would go into the rest of the album. So no, I'm not. I haven't forgiven it for that, and I just do not dig this song whatsoever. You're right, it is part of this trilogy of trash, and I think for me, Dirty Water Dog is the bottom of the can of garbage.
Wow.
Of the trilogy, of course.
All right. Well, Scott, you had this, let's go to the chat real quick here. Marvin Fernandez had this 4th. Tom had it 10th, so way down there, but he count him as one of the fans of the brush drum intro. Jay points out you can tell Eddie's on drums. The sound is thinner than Alex's sound. You can say that about pretty much every song this record, save maybe 2, which are still to come.
Yep.
And then Ed goes, oh, yeah, that's what Dirty Water Dog sounds like. Now I know I suppressed it from my memory. Scott Monroe, you had this one, what, number 7, I believe?
Number 6.
6, sorry.
Yeah. So right there in the middle for me, with some of the other trilogy songs as I consider them. I'm a broken record, but it's too bloated. I don't like that meandering intro with the broom. And even when Ed kind of kicks in there, I think that goes on for a bit too long, overstays its welcome. I think we just needed to get to the riff a bit sooner. Lyrically, it's kind of weird, right? Like I kind of don't really know what the narrator is saying exactly. It's like kind of vaguely political sometimes, and then other times it's more kind of seems like he's trying to hearken to Dave Vera lyrics a little. So I'm not exactly sure what to take from the lyrics, but I do enjoy the chorus. It's kind of a catchy chorus, I think. There's like I know Mikey's not harmonizing on it, but it seems to be trying to echo that harmonizing in the chorus that we're used to in Van Halen songs. And It just it's one of these also that when they did play it live, it sounded a lot better live, obviously, especially when you had Alex on the drums. So it's middle of the pack for me.
God, this whole album is missing Mikey, isn't it? Like we
totally.
don't have those harmonies anywhere on this whole
Yep.
record, and just think how
Yep.
much elevated some of these songs would have been.
Totally.
Chaz, when I said 7, it's because that's where you had it. I got a little mixed up there. Tell us why you ranked this one 7th.
Yeah, it's a good point about Mikey not being here. He would have added something to this song. He definitely would have. But then again, I'm not judging based on lyrics or vocal because I can't. To me, I liked the groove. I liked it was funky. It was a little different. I really liked the clean sound that he captured there. Evocative of some of the other guitarists of the era and the sounds that were coming out of other people at the time. So it was really, to me, when I kind of put it back in those seats, it's it's really good in that respect. But I just can't get past the fucking lyrics and everything else. So I won't even talk about that. Musically, great, middle of the pack kind of song, great album track, and I wouldn't turn it off. Yeah, I'd be like, hey, yeah, that's cool. It's Van Halen.
Are you getting a Police vibe? Kevin Brown mentioned this is very Police-esque, and he would have loved to hear what Stuart Copeland did on this track.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, for me, the guitar has an Andy Summers feel. Who was the other guy? The guy that was playing for Robert Plant at the time. This sounds like it has that kind of underwater sound that was kind of popular. It's spacey and cool without the vocals and the lyrics.
I remember our conversation, Mark. We were going through the lyrics, like, what the fuck? Because like Scott mentioned, he just goes off on tangents. Yeah. I actually just did an Ultimate Cadillac Clash with a Dave Grohl song where I'm like, he's all over the place. Kind of the same thing. But
I can dig it when Dave's doing it, man.
Exactly.
Dave,
It
I'll
sounds
take
cool.
that shit from Dave all day long.
It sounds cool when Dave's doing it.
Yep.
A little less so on Dirty Water Dog. Jeff Bruce says,
that'd be interesting if Dave did Dirty Water Dog. I bet Dave could pull that off. I bet he could do it.
I bet you too.
Yeah.
Jeff says, if you listen closely, the verse riff is very close to the main riff in I Want Some Action and Stompin' 8/8 from Ed's SNL appearance and Lukather's Twist a Knife. So I never picked up on that before. That's a good call there, Jeff.
Yep. Yeah. Lukather definitely has a Luke feel to it. Yep.
All right. Time for number 4.
Holdsworth in Blue too. Yeah. It has some really weird flavors to it. It's a cool little track musically.
Well, Mark and I are in agreement on what is number 4. We're the only two. 2 out of the 4 in the panel called this one correctly. Oh, and Chaz has already discussed it. It's What I Want, coming in at number 4. 139 points. One person had this ranked as high as number 2. 2 people had this ranked as low as number 10. I guess they just want the pizza man to give them a slice. The most votes it got were 5th place and 4th place. The audience had this one ranked 5th. So What I Want, both Mark and I said number 4 is where this one should be, and that's where it ended up. Scott Monroe, you had, again, there's that pizza man line. I love that one. What I Want was your number 3 song.
Number 3, yeah. Here's another trilogy. We have a trilogy of what I would say more classic Van Halen tunes. So When I Want, Without You, Fire in the Hole. Those are the ones to me that are kind of, as the band likes to say, kind of in the strike zone kind of songs.
The ones that are finished, you mean? The ones that are mostly finished.
That's debatable. That's debatable, especially with Fire in the Hole. But
yeah, it's true. Okay.
But
I'll do that.
I like 95% of the song. My only criticism, and I think you guys voiced this before, the verses are a little problematic. It's cheesy, so I think it's fine. It would have been better if they were shorter verses. It just kind of go, the whole repetition and the structure just goes on for way too long, and a lot of the things he throws in there are just silly. So I kind of look past that for the most part, and would have liked to have seen the verses be shorter, but it's a very classic sounding chorus. Very simple. Repeat the title. The highlight for me is the jamming in the solo section. That is just some good headbanging shit in my book, and I just love to hear Eddie go off for that good, I don't know how long it is, minute and a half, 2 minutes there of the jamming.
I agree, Scott. If you got a gimmick verse, you don't want to beat people over the head with it. You want to kind of get in and get out, because you're pretty much admitting, I got nothing in this cute. Yep. Let's get to the cool stuff. And again, Mikey on this chorus would have been 100 times better. But
totally.
Chaz, Charles, What I Want, your number 8 song.
Yeah, it's just Yeah, this was where maybe I couldn't let my bias against the lyrics go. This one is just says Mark, and I've counted so far 8 times has said stinker. It's a stinker in so many ways. But the lyrics are just so atrocious, and there's some cool guitar stuff, but not enough. And I think it's really unfocused and just goes all over the place. And yeah, no, not for me. No,
All right,
should have been a demo.
Mark Kmeyer, Ranting Man, sum up One I Want for us.
It's close. It's closer and closer to resembling what we would consider to be a good classic feeling Van Halen tune. It doesn't quite get there, but it gets close. Therefore, I think it deserves a spot at least in the top 5 of being better songs. Maybe not great songs. I don't think there is a great song on this album, but I think it's better. So number 4, for me was a good spot for it. It would feel wrong to get any higher, and then to place it lower just wouldn't make sense, at least in the way I was interpreting and ranking this list. And like I said, there are a lot of little tiny good parts of this song that you can put together, and it still equals better than the bottom half of what we have for this album. So for me, that's why it ends up in the number 4 spot. And I agree with Scott. The solo is pretty great. That might be what saves it from being lower for me.
Yeah, Marvin sums it up with, I like it musically, but not lyrically. Yeah. Exactly. Tarm in the chat says, Gary just sounds like he's straining to sing it. Is that so much Gary straining to sing it, or the absolutely horrendous production that we have on this whole album where Gary sings like he's singing through a tin can and a string into the soundboard? It sounds terrible.
Yeah, well, and we know also. I mean, Ed was directing Gary how to sing songs, and he was, he was intentionally kind of putting things in higher keys to get him into that higher register, maybe to make him sound more like Sammy. That's debatable, but yeah.
Certainly, the production quality doesn't help it, but he is just his vocal direction. I've mentioned it many times on some of these songs where I don't understand why Gary chose that vocal delivery. Like, I don't understand why he felt that. And then we learn,
now we know
he didn't have a choice in the matter.
Right.
He was told to sing it that way, and if that's the case, then swing and a big ol' miss, man. Like, you could cause a hurricane with that wind. But I think it's a bit of both, really.
Well, it's like Sharon has said, right? If they had the chance to tour first, right? If they had gotten a chance to know each other while they're on the road and the dynamics that they developed together, by the time they got in the studio, Ed would have had a much better idea of what he was capable of.
Well, or even recorded as a band. Record as a band.
Well, right.
They did not record as a band.
No.
And it shows.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, no, it's 3-1. Edmonton still leading Florida now.
Hey, all right.
That game's done.
USA.
All right, we're getting to our top 3 now. Just quick around the horn. Let's start with Scott Monroe. What do you think is number 3?
Fire in the Hole.
Fire in the Hole, Chaz?
I'll double down on that. Yeah.
Okay, Mark?
I think it should be Fire in the Hole.
Because that's where you put it, and that's where I put it. That's where everybody else put it, too. Fire in the Hole. This is another one that really could have been an all-time Van Halen banger with a little more work.
Yep.
179 points. 3 people put this as the number 1 track on the record. 2 people had us ranked as low as 7th. The most votes it got tied 2nd place and 3rd place. The audience ranked this one 3rd. Man, so much promise in Fire in the Hole. Just doesn't quite get there. It's number 3 on our rankings. Scott Monroe, let's start with you on this one here. I know you're a fan of Fire in the Hole. You had this one ranked number 4.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Number 4. Again, it's more in the strike zone, classic sounding Van Halen to me. It's part of the trilogy for me with When I Want and Without You. It's, lyrically it is certainly bizarre at times. Gary does make up a few words, I think, for rhyming effect or tempo effect or something. But, to me, the message is very crystal clear. He's just talking about people spouting off shit from their mouth. That's a pretty simple message. And he just kind of puts a lot of ornamentation around that to deliver that message. Simple repeat the title chorus. We all know about that. I think it works. It's pretty catchy. The solo really just builds and builds, which thematically works really well, I think, as we're kind of thinking about things heating up and feeling that heat. I think it sounds like it belongs in this song. The solo does, and then the transition back to the main riff is pretty cool. I think it just got a lot of energy and maybe not quite aggression to it, but it definitely packs some heat to it. So it goes without saying at this point, but I think it's too long. That intro is unnecessary. We should have just gotten straight to the riff and the outro. We've talked about this. That outro riff is such a missed opportunity. It's a cool riff, and we get to hear Gary yelling over that cool outro riff. Makes it kind of hard to hear. So that could have been its own song, certainly. So beginning and end, not so great, but I kind of dig the everything else.
All right, well, Chaz, I'm going to throw this question to you. Tom points out in the chat, didn't have to tour first with Sammy. We were talking about how Gary wanted to tour first and building that camaraderie and all that kind of stuff. Tom says didn't have to do that with Sammy Hagar. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, Sammy Hagar. Come on, Tom. I mean, Sammy is one of the granddaddies. He established the whole fucking genre. I mean, somebody mentioned Montrose before. That first fucking Montrose record, I'm telling you, man, they were out in the bars, and Roth was inspired by Hagar because they were playing shit off of that record, man. And so, Hagar is a known commodity, and Sharon, known for what he did, very limited, I think, in terms of his range within Extreme compared to Sammy. I mean, Sammy's just so diverse. I mean, Sammy's just a great bet, and Gary was a bet that didn't pay off. I think if they had gotten to know Gary a little bit more, he could have tweaked and adjusted it just enough to make it work. And I really, really think that it would have been really cool to hear what would have come, the second record that would have been. Because this first one, there's just nothing here for me. Nothing at all. And this song, the music, I actually dig it. I love the riff. I think it's really cool. It's very aggressive. It's energetic, man. It's Eddie, right? It's there. You can definitely hear it. The fucking solo is credible. It's pretty inventive in a couple of spots. I'm not going to take anything away from what he was trying to do musically, but he had the wrong guy on the microphone and writing the fucking words. I mean, this verbal diarrhea, this fire in the hole. I mean, Leopard wrote another song about fire coming out the other hole, but this one is, I didn't need it. I didn't need what he had to say here. Didn't need to hear his message.
It wasn't a tour, but Ed did play with Sammy at Farm Aid before he technically joined Van Halen. So
that's true.
They
that's
got one
right.
performance.
He did have a test drive, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a test drive.
And they practiced for that too, right? We know
right.
that they played a little bit before they got on stage, right?
Yep.
So yeah, they felt each other out.
Ed in the chat says, I love how Gary didn't object to singing some classic Van Halen songs. He had the chops to sing either era Van Halen. He absolutely did, and that's why those shows were
that was
pretty
a highlight.
fucking great.
He brought back so many songs that hadn't been heard in years.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard as a live band, they were wonderful, man. Other than his weirdness, I mean, the musically they sounded great. If I'm not watching them, I enjoyed listening to his live performances with them. I thought it was great. Yep.
All right, Mark Meyer, are you happy to hear they're doing a Lethal Weapon 5?
Is it by the cast of It's Always Sunny? Because I've already seen that one. It didn't go over very well.
No, Mel Gibson's going to be directing a Lethal Weapon 5.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 5. It's filmed all in the nursing home for those two.
Danny Glover was too old for this shit when he was in his 40s. Now he's in his 70s.
Yeah, and also, we're going to bring back Gibson? I don't think so. Anyway, Corey, you nailed it when you said this one had all the potential in the world. That's what makes this one so frustrating. It's a frustrating song because it is. It's verbal diarrhea vocally or lyrically, really, and just but the music comes together in a way that just it could have been what could have been. That's the only thing I could get out of my head when I was listening to the song again was what could have been a really cool song just isn't. And it's so close. But that being said, there's still a lot to enjoy about it. And so I honestly think that if there are only two songs on my list that I felt were decent enough to be the top two, then this one has to be number 3, if nothing else, but reluctantly, just because it sucks because you guys had a potential to have a really awesome track and it's just not, and that sucks. But again, I can't rank it too low because that would just be bitter.
You're giving them demerits, is what you're doing. Demerits.
Yeah, demerits. That's correct.
Well, Ed in the chat says he wasn't fond of the black slacks and pirouettes. I know a lot of people aren't really fond of Gary's stage presence.
Yeah.
Someone had to say it. You guys never talk about it. It was
on
fucking
brand
weird,
for
man.
Van Halen to have a
fucking weird.
weird ass vocalist. Like what? As long as they can sing
Hey.
the notes, right? Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, what Roth became. I mean, what Roth used to be, and then when he became with the whole cha-cha-cha, the teeth thing and the moving around the shuffle thing. Yeah, fucking weird.
Marvin Fernandez is calling for a verbal diarrhea T-shirt. Kevin Brown, get on it. Before we move on to the next song, two people had ranked this one number one. Those people are Jeff Brewer, currently in our chat, and the one and only Todd McGinnity had this one number one as well.
Probably because they're looking at it from a guitar playing standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Again, there's like I said, there's a lot to like about this. This song is almost a really good Van Halen song, but it's just not quite there because of other circumstances. But I am not going to fight you on the guitar work.
Missed it by that much.
All right, boys, we are down to the final two. I mentioned that whatever finished number one did so by quite a bit. So let's try and guess. What do you think finished number two and therefore number one? Fruitcake Tony, hello. He says, evening, gents. Thank you for joining us, Fruitcake Tony. We're about to announce the top two songs from our Patreons and special guests on Van Halen 3. And we're going to guess what song finished at number two. Scott Monroe, you start us off.
I'm guessing it's Year to the Day, but that's not what I put at number two.
No, it isn't. How about you, Chaz?
Oh, my God. Year to the Day. Forgot that was on this record. Jeez, it's got to be somewhere. Fuck. All right. I'm going to go with Year to the Day.
Year to the Day, Mark Meyer, you got to agree with that one, too. That's where you ranked this.
That's where I ranked it. So
wow.
I would hope this one's number two because there's really only one song that deserves the number one spot from this record. So
okay,
here we go.
We might be aligned again.
Ed is saying Year to the Day. Marvin is saying Year to the Day. Tom is saying Year to the Day. Jay is saying Without You is the easy number one. And you're all right. Year to the Day, number two.
Oof.
Oof, he says.
Just the disgusting
Oofta.
Oofta.
Look.
Total points 186. One person did rank this as their favorite track on Van Halen 3. He's on the call. We'll hear from him in a little bit. Two people ranked this one as 10th. The most votes it got was in the number two hole. That's where we finish off here. Four people ranked it there. The audience ranked it number two. And that's where we're ranking it here tonight. But Scott Monroe, you said this was the best song on Feelin' Part 2, if you will. You said was the best song on Van Halen 3.
It kind of has that vibe, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Yep. No, this came as a surprise to me because, again, I thought like a lot of people, like, you know, the clear majority here, that Without You was a slam dunk for the best song. And there's good reason for that. We know that this is the song that all four members of the band participated in, Without You, that is, you know. So it has the most classic Van Halen sound to it. So it's certainly deserving of being one. But, you know, I thought about it a bit more, and I decided to rank Year to the Day number one for a couple of reasons. One, I do really think this is Gary's kind of shining moment on the album. He sounds his most natural to me. He's displaying kind of incredible range. He is very low in the verses and then goes real high register in the chorus. Lyrically, I think he's really, really strong. It's really good imagery, about losing someone you love. So I think there's some genuine sentiment there to appreciate. Ed's tone is different. It's got this kind of jazzy quality to it at times. But then it just really rips in the monster solo section and the squeals, and it's a ride. It's a big journey. When you talk about epic, this to me is epic Van Halen. So it should have, in my book, closed out the album because of that kind of epic closer feel that it has. It could have used a little tightening. Again, it takes a little long to get going there in the intro.
Yeah.
But it's not unenjoyable. I like listening to it, even if it is a little meandering. So yeah, it's Without You, yeah, absolutely, I understand number one. But I tried to kind of think about this a bit more, and I appreciated the direction they were going in here with Year to the Day. and it's representative, I think, of where Van Halen could have gone with Gary. We were talking about that earlier. If he had gotten more used to the band, been given a chance, been become more comfortable with them, that's probably an indication of some of the things they could have done. I asked Kevin about this, when we were putting together the reimagining, and I think Kevin said it really well, is for him, the record as a whole is really just kind of, if nothing else, displaying a adventurous, kind of ballsy approach to try different things and experiment. And clearly, I think we, for the most part, agree they failed for the most part in that respect. But I think on Year to the Day, I would consider that a success. I would consider this a successful, kind of ballsy, adventurous, new type of sound for them. And I appreciate that. And because I think they pulled it off and kind of signaled where the band could have gone, I'm going to put it number 1.
I agree with pretty much everything you said, Scott. I think it's also probably the best produced song on the record. Like, it sounds nice, which you can't say about a lot of the tracks on here. You got nice space amongst all the instruments. Gary singing the hell out of it. His vocal isn't too thin and shitty like it is on the rest of the record. I had Year to the Day number 2. So did you, Mark Meyer.
Basically, for all the reasons that Scott had mentioned, and it didn't quite get there just because I guess it just didn't hook me as much as, as we know, Without You being number 1. Just that one just feels the most kind of Van Halen-esque to me, in a whole album filled with what we would probably consider not the Van Halen norm, for better or for worse. And I think we collectively agreed this was for the worst. But Year to the Day is kind of Scott mentioned, sort of a look at where the band possibly could have gone, and we keep bringing up the fact that Gary didn't get a lot of time to vibe with the dudes before going into the studio. So, and then he was, we know, was essentially just kind of a singer for hire at that point. Like, you're a session singer for this album essentially. But oh yeah, we'll go on tour. Yeah, well, you got to sing the song you just recorded, right? They could have benefited so much from getting to know each other a little bit, feeling of the vibes, and then touring together, and then hit the studio. Year to the Day could have turned into what we consider an all-time Van Halen banger. I think it could have had that potential. There's a few things obviously you'd have to tweak and change and do probably a little bit differently, but I do think Gary sounds really good on this. But again, it's still, it couldn't make number 1 just because it didn't hook me as much as I wanted it to. But that being said, it's of the 2 songs that I remotely think aren't terrible on this album, it's number 2 for that reason.
Well, Scott, I got to tell you, Ed in the chat says, well, Scott, that was like a great Grammy Award-winning speech, so good job, buddy.
Ooh, okay.
Tom says, number 9, Swing and Miss for me. Chaz, this was your number 9 as well. You and Tom have finally agreed on something here tonight.
We are aligned, finally, yes. Well, let me just say, yeah, the lyrics on this one, I mean, God, this is not what I want from Van Halen. I'm sorry. And again, I've already taken the position, right, that there's no lyrics and there's no vocals on this, so I'll just focus on the music. I love the guitar. The guitar is incredible. There's a lot of expressive guitar work going on here. The dynamic progression, it builds. There's really, you want to talk about, showing some range, musically. This song has got it, right? No doubt. And I love the atmosphere that he creates on this thing. It's rich. It's almost like immersive. I think maybe what they were going for in the other song, what we kind of talked about, I think he captured it on this one. I think if he was going for that, if that was his experimentation in the studio, he captured it on this one. And this is the one that should have stayed on the record. But they should have just not used Gary Sharon. I mean, I just don't know. I'm sorry. It's just like, what a fucking bummer of a song. Wow. The lyrics and the delivery and I'm sorry, it's just the guy, this doesn't really sound very nat. And none of this with him sounds very natural on this record. I mean, because he is just so different in extreme, right? It's just like it just didn't work. And so what I really had to do, I know we're talking about Without You being in its rightful place in number 1, and I'm aligned on that because for me it came in at number 4, but I really, my 4 to 12 is the Gary Cherone record, and the first 3 are Eddie, right? And it's like the rest is this Gary Cherone record, and Once is the best of that, and this one was like 4th from the bottom. There was really very little in this for me. It was just really contrived. It just felt really over the top.
All right. Well, Jeff in the comments says, I think Ed commented at the time that this song was closest to Van Halen's Stairway to Heaven. At least he was hoping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's bold.
Yep. Ed says Gary was Ed's muse, house guest, and sort of kept lead singer. Not kidnapped, but...
Right, and it sounds like Stairway to Heaven right there, that part that just played, so he's absolutely right.
There you go.
But yeah, he's his houseboy. Little Stockholm syndrome going on.
Yeah.
And we had a great time.
One of the things you got to do in that track is cut 3 fucking minutes out of it, because if I was giving it a UCC grade, it'd probably
get Corey. We did.
Yeah, good. I'd probably give it a 2 on production, because even though it's the best produced song, it's also way too fucking long. But that brings us to number 1. Again, it had with a little better production. I think this is an all-time Van Halen classic. I think if I'm the record company and I'm compiling a Van Halen greatest hits record, and you demand that you have to have at least one song from the Gary Cherone era, this is the one that's going on there.
Because there's Al. There's Al.
Hi from Australia. I don't even know what time it is in Australia, but thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Diamond D, good to hear from you. We're going to listen to a little Without You. The number 1 song is voted by our Patreons and special guest. It was number 1 on 12 ballots. That's 12 out of 18. That's about as big a shit kicking as we've had on these ranking shows. 203 points. One person ranked this 5th. The most votes again, first place, number 12. Audience ranking also had this number 12. Let's go through the list. Number 1 votes, myself, Mark Kmeyer, Per Lineker, Michael Griffith. Again, congratulations on getting married, buddy. Scott Everett, Tom Armbruster, Heath McCoy, Sean McGinnity, Eric Senich, Kevin Brown, Brad Gould, and Jay Steyer all had this at number 1. And Jay even says, Without You is one of my all-time favorite Van Halen songs. Love this tune. Imagine it with a little better production and a little more, it gets a Mikey on the harmonies a little more. This song is going to fucking rip. Yeah. All right, Chaz, let's start with you because you're the bummer on the panel here. You had this one, number 4.
I've already told you this is the number 1 song for the Gary Cherone record that had been, when he was in Van Halen. This is the number 1 song for him. Because, it's good for all those reasons everybody said. And I think, it had unfortunately just, been given a little more juice with a good producer in the studio. This really could have been, a banger of a hit, and they could have had, probably a couple others with some good direction, but
our resident guitar expert in the chat, Josh, says that the rhythm guitar tones on With or Without You are similar to the tones on Extreme's Waiting for a Punchline. So that's an album I haven't heard a ton of, but we're going to be covering.
It does have an extreme feel, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah. Marvin says it's got a Chili Pepper feel too, a little Give It Away. You can kind of hear that in the verses there, right? With the drums, a little Give It Away. The song,
the scratchiness. I love the scratch in this.
This song sounded too tinny. This album sounds too tinny. Like I said, with a little better production.
Mike Post.
Yeah.
A little bit of treble.
Mike Post is the one saying, no one can be blamed for how bad Van Halen 3 is. Well, you got a little share of that blame, my friend.
Because you can. Yeah, some of it.
It's like, I'm going to take this Rolls Royce and I'm going to spray paint fucking SpongeBob on it and drive it around Beverly Hills. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
This is peak Van Halen, or it could potentially be. I'm going to go back to Diamond D here, joining us from Australia here. Without You, Dirty Water Dog, What I Want, Fire in the Hole, all great. Better production and more Mikey is needed. Ted Templeman, yes, imagine what Ted Templeman would do with this song, right? Holy cow, it'd be amazing.
He would have said, get another singer.
Get Mikey better. And Templeman in there, and it's just like, or Mikey is in there, but I mean, just more Mikey. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Yep. He's playing on
this
song.
One honestly feels like this is the one that feels like Sharon was actually himself, and maybe someone else told Eddie let Gary do it. Gary.
Well, again,
right?
Mike Post had nothing to do with this. This was a demo that they cut within a few days of meeting each other. So it's they're probably very comfortable and just jamming and having a good time,
having some beers. Yeah.
And it shows. It absolutely shows. I mean, like if the whole album is a turd, but then you polish it a little bit and get a golden nugget, this is the golden nugget within the turd. But it turns out that gold's not real. So I mean, so it's essentially worthless. So I mean, because it is still part of the shit pile. However, yeah, this is definitely the one that is the most tolerable. It's not as frustrating to me as Fire in the Hole because this one just feels more, I guess, fleshed out, and it seems like it's more the direction that the album probably should have followed. Whereas, we mentioned Fire in the Hole is just kind of like, it had potential, but it essentially didn't go where it probably should have gone. And I agree. The production quality is the biggest killer of the enjoyment of this song, but it is the most enjoyable, I think, of the entirety of the album. And so Without You is absolutely got to be number one. It's one of two, as you know, Corey, that I said, hey, not complete shit.
It's one of the most singable songs. To me, it's right up there with Don't Tell Me. Whenever that comes on, I'm singing at the top of my lungs. Whenever the chorus of Without You hits, I'm singing as badly as I can at the top of my lungs. Scott Monroe, let's give you the final word on Without You.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's totally deserving of being here. Even though I didn't put it number one, I completely understand. And it is, again, it's the only song that the entire band made together. So it's worthy of being here. My only issue really is with the pre-chorus. I don't really understand the decision to do that weird droning underwater effect on the vocals there. It should have, the rest of the song is so upbeat. It just screams out for upbeat harmonies there, but whatever. Overall, it's as good of a song as you're going to get on this album as far as being classic sounding Van Halen. It 100% should have been the lead-off track on the record, and it's totally deserving of being at the top.
Could not agree more, even though Josh calls it the cubic zirconia of the Van Halen catalog. I think it's a little better than that, but that's just me.
It's good.
Still a good comment. All right, Mark, we did it. That's another live show in the books. Maybe before.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
No, it wasn't that bad at all. I'm looking forward to really breaking down Without You on Regarding Van Halen 3. Guys, when is episode 1 dropping?
Yeah.
We are here right now.
This is episode 1?
No, we're...
Okay.
What's that, Scott?
This is episode 1.
This is episode 1.
Nice.
That's as much as we consider. Yeah. So no, we're getting into regular production here in the next couple of weeks. So we will have that announcement out on all the socials. Scott, what's the social that you're managing for us?
Yeah. So we got at Regarding Van Halen 3 on Twitter, at Regarding VH3 on Facebook. So we'll be pushing that all out pretty soon here. And so recording other episodes too. So we're going to go on a schedule through the summer here, so you'll start seeing other episodes drop as we get through the summer. And again, bunch of guests lined up that we're really looking forward to, and we want those different perspectives, and we're hopefully going to get a lot of different perspectives to challenge some of the things we said here tonight, and maybe get us to rethink how we feel about particular songs. Maybe not one song, but we'll see.
Come along, help us answer how many say why. Yeah, we hope as many of you come along with us as possible and help us answer that question.
I know I'll be listening. I'm a big fan of the re-edits. Kevin does a ton of them on Ultimate Catalog Clash, and he's improved them, 10 times out of 10, I think. So I can't wait to get into those. I just want to shout out our buddy Ed here, my new favorite person in the chat here, says, after watching many of your podcasts and as a fellow co-host on Halenville Live, which I got to go check out, that sounds cool, and show me your pick with the one and only Fruitcake Tony, I really enjoyed your breakdown and rankings of all of Van Halen's catalog. Well, thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Diamond D says, great show, fellas. Sorry for being late. Hey, you're in Australia. Holy cow. Yeah. Like I said, what time is it there? Like 4 in the morning? I don't even know. Yeah, so,
it's
g'day,
already Saturday over there, so, I mean, like, it's okay. You get a pass.
Yeah, you totally get a pass. But, yeah, watch the rewatch. And, hey, we got a few more live shows coming your way. Next week is going to be one of our standard shows. We're going to spin one of the 2 songs we have left on our wheel. And then we're going to do a different kind of truth live on July 5th. Man, that is going to be a ton of fun. And then going back into July, we're going to kind of bunch things up here a little bit before I go on a little bit of a holiday to go see Sammy Hagar. On the 10th, we're going to spin the final song. And then on the 17th, we're doing a live show. And then the 19th, we're going to do a live show. So we're going to do, it's going to be it's going to be either Balance or Van Halen 1. We just don't know which one is going to fall in those days. I'm hoping Van Halen 1 falls on the Friday. I think we're going to get a lot of people tuning in for the Van Halen 1. And then on the 24th, we're going to wrap up our whole journey here going through the entire Van Halen catalog.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been 3 years breaking down the whole catalog, having a great time. Then we're going to take a week off. I'm going to go see Sammy and the boys. And then August 7th, season 4, we're going to have the solo wheel. That's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. So just a few days for you folks. Like I said, next week's going to be a regular show. And then we're going live with a different kind of truth. And then the last song on the wheel. And then either Balance or Van Halen 1 are going to wrap things up for live shows.
Damn.
It's a good finish.
I think
Very good finish. We are
well done, guys.
Yeah, well on our way. Just a reminder, you guys, check out Regarding Van Halen 3 featuring Scott Monroe and Chaz Charles. And
Greg Wolfie Wolf. Can't forget Greg Wolfie Wolf.
Cannot forget Wolfie,
that's a point we wanted to make. So, the whole approach here is that, Scott and I, you've heard our opinions here tonight. Come and hear somebody who has never heard the work before, who saw these shirts and went, well, you guys, you sent me this shirt. Who's this guy was he in Van Halen? Who is that? He wasn't in Van Halen. So Wolfie's never heard Van Halen 3. We told them, don't listen. So we said, nope, you can't go with us out to Podcast Will Rock tonight. We made him stay away to maintain the integrity of the show, because we are nothing if we are not integrous on the fucking Regarding series. Right? Because we're not political, we're not correct, and there are microphones, and we'll say whatever the fuck we want.
If Chaz Charles is in the room, he's gonna do that regardless if there's a mic or not. So just get used to it. But if something I've noticed, by the way, congrats to the Oilers, they won.
Not officially yet, but it is 4-1 now. It is 4-1.
My bad.
There's still 3 minutes left.
At the time of this right now, in this recording. Sorry, my bad.
But you see the champagne's right back there. He's ready. He's ready.
So, but something that tonight has proven is that all the lists were, more or less, a lot of the tracks were very, very different. So a lot of different perspectives on this album, not just what Corey and I think. But even with Scott and Chaz, very different rankings of their own personal lists. So definitely you want to tune into the show. They will have some very interesting perspectives, to say the least. I'm quite sure, and I can't wait to hear what Wolfie thinks and what some of your other guests think. And we're not done with Van Halen 3 either, because we will be back with you guys on that show, Corey and I. So just be on the lookout for that.
Maybe Scott will change some minds.
Yeah. So, the Oilers scored again, apparently. Yep. So
another empty netter. It's 5-1.
Look at his face. He's like, yeah.
So it's
Game 7, baby. Let's do it.
Let's just pull the Band-Aid right off. Just end it. So there you go. Thank you to all of our patrons that put in their rankings and gave us this list. I'll go ahead and go down the list real quick. Matt Lacoste, Nate from the Deep Purple Podcast, Rava Flav, Josh Caldwell, Greg Zito, Michael Griffith, congrats again, by the way, Sean McGinnity, Kevin Brown, Per Lineker, Ryan Powell, Jeff Brewer, Tom Umbruster, Scott Everett, Heath McCoy, Janice Risco, Brad Gould, Davey Lee Smith, Chad Pollock, Brett Parker, Jeff Fisher, Scott Haskin, John Drake, Connor Burton, Rabbi, Evid Bana, Jay Steyer, and Dan Papathopoulos. That's it.
Nailed it.
I think I nailed it. I think
wow.
And of course, Scott Monroe and Chaz Charles. So joining us on the show as always. We could not talk about Van Halen 3 without Van Halen 3 guys. So thank you guys again for joining us with you. Corey, there's nothing else.
Nope. Let's wrap it up.
We've wrapped it up. We actually talked a lot longer than I thought we would on this album, but here you go. Sometimes that is just the way it goes. Corey broke it down what our schedule is going to be for the coming weeks. We're nearing the end of this phase, so stay with us. We're not done yet. We're still going strong, but there's only so much time left. We are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later. Don't listen to this album.